And welcome to East Boston. I also say in Spanish, bienvenidos a todos y un buen día acá en East Boston. My name is Hernani Diarajo. I'm a lifelong resident here of East Boston. We're one of the fastest growing neighborhoods in the city of Boston and one of the most diverse, including the largest Latino population here in the neighborhood. I'm very proud today to introduce to all of you our next mayor, Dan Conley. In a prior life, I worked a few years for our current mayor, Tom Menino, and got to know our city very well, and also to see how important it is to have strong leadership as our mayor. Just a quick personal note, I first joined Dan's team because we have a mutual mentor, a legal mentor, who spoke to me about Dan's integrity and really his thoughtfulness as a prosecutor. It's an extraordinarily difficult job with some of the weightiest decisions, life and death decisions really, and Dan has managed that role with integrity and with excellence really throughout his time there. So I was very, very proud to join him with my family who's here. Part of my family is Italian, part of him is Colombian. We're all supporting Dan for mayor. So,
while he fixes the door.
So without further ado,
he has all kinds of skills, as you can see.
We have a little toddler back there that's...
Here we go.
All right. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, our next mayor, Dan Conley. Thank you.
Being here today as we kick off the opening of our East Boston headquarters here in Maverick Square. Delighted to have a physical presence here in East Boston. We've had folks working here in East Boston for a long time now, but it's great to have a place where we can call our home away from home here in East Boston, and where East Boston residents can hopefully stop by, pick up some literature, perhaps volunteer in the campaign, and I'd love to see everybody come by here and participate in the campaign. We've got a little more than 2 weeks to go. I'm excited, I'm energized, we're really getting a great response, and I think we're moving in the right direction, and we're going to win this thing, but it's going to take hard work from everybody over the next 16 days. Is that right? Am I right on that number? 16 days? Who's counting? We are. I'd like to thank Hernani for those very kind words of introduction. He and I have become fast friends. As he mentioned, we were introduced by a mutually a good friend of ours and a mentor, Judge Wolf, in the federal court. Hernani is a son of Boston like I am. We're also both products of immigrant families. His a little closer in time than mine, but mine not so in the distant past that I can't remember. In this piece that I produced just a few weeks ago, my plan for East Boston, I'm very proud of the fact that I referenced the fact that our roots in Boston began right here in East Boston at Jeffreys Point, where many immigrants came in the late 19th century and early 20th century. My Italian grandparents for sure passed through Jeffreys Point. And I remember when Hernani took me down to the Jeffreys Point Civic Association, he showed me the steps where many European immigrant particularly walked up those steps, the first steps that they took in the United States of America. It was very moving to me to walk up those steps knowing that my grandparents came up that same staircase looking for a better life and a better opportunity. Most of us can draw on that experience, and so for me, East Boston is a very special place, not only in our city, but in my family and for us personally. We want to win East Boston, and I think we can. All right, with your hard work, we can do it. Because those Italian immigrants in large part have been replaced by Latino immigrants, but they came here again for the same things, a better life. My grandparents came here with no education and no language skills. If they were alive today, I'd like to think they'd be smiling knowing that their grandson is not only the district attorney, but he's running to lead one of the greatest cities in America, the city of Boston. East Boston is important to me, and I think I view East Boston very differently than many of the other candidates in this race. A lot of them perceive East Boston to be an island, unto itself. An ugly stepchild in Boston. They say East Boston's separated by water and a tunnel, and it's not as important to the rest of the city, in their view. Not to me. East Boston is part of Boston. We are one Boston, and I want you to look at my plan for East Boston. And it begins with one very important thing. Let's move those tolls, okay? You shouldn't have to pay $3.50 to leave East Boston if you want to come over here and have a great meal, whether it be Italian or Latino, or go to one of these terrific shops. Those tolls should be up on Logan Airport's Plaza, and that's where the toll should be collected. And if Massport's worried about the revenue, increase it for a little bit, but don't make the people who live here, who want to work here, who shop here, pay that toll. Let's move those tolls. Is there a finer view of the city of Boston than we have from the East Boston waterfront? And if you walk around there and you see those fields and those lots lying fallow, some of them in real disrepair, dumping grounds, can't you see what I see? Wonderful homes, businesses, and opportunities for people here to come and grow roots and have middle-class families. Isn't that what we want there in East Boston? Well, let's elect somebody who'll get that done. You own those parcels, develop them for middle-class families, and move out of the way and let somebody else do it. Okay, let's develop that beautiful East Boston waterfront, and let's make that seamless thoroughfare between the various squares here in East Boston. And let's make sure we have taxi cab equity here in East Boston. And even though I believe East Boston is part of Boston for sure, and we're one Boston, let's make a little city hall over here so we can make it a little bit easier to do the little things. So I want to thank you again for all coming here. Be my ambassador over these next 6 days, here in East Boston and all over the city. We can make East Boston shine, no question, if we follow our 5-point plan. But we can make the whole city of Boston shine if we can get better jobs now. And I'm the only candidate with any kind of plan when it comes to that. Take a look at that. 54 ideas to put our people back to work, to help people who are unemployed get jobs, underemployed to get better jobs. We can get this done. We can truly reform our schools, and we can grow the great middle class. The same reason why the DiNapolis and the Spinas wanted to come to Boston through East Boston. They wanted to become part of the great middle class. We can make Boston the first city in America that closes the achievement gaps and gives everybody a great opportunity to join that wonderful middle class. And we are one Boston. Please work hard for me over the next 16 days. We will get this done. And welcome to our East Boston headquarters. Thank you all very much. My dear friend. My secret